All right, sounds good. Just let me know whenever you're ready and we'll get this rolling.
We're just getting started here, Quinn. Evening, everyone. Quinn, you want to say hello to everyone and give us an update on the last 24 hours of the news cycle? Today is Sunday, July 20th, 2025. What has happened since yesterday? Hey, Ellen. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey everyone, great to have you all here. So let me give you a quick rundown on what's been happening in the last 24 hours. Buckle up because it's been quite a ride.
Hey there, Deb, Julie, Ron. Good to see you all. Jean, Ellie, Jules, good to see you. So still struggling with all the settings. I don't know, that music's probably loud. I'll turn that off. Trying to get everything going here. Still not happy with my green screen chroma key. Not happy with not happy with any of it. But I'm here.
Hey, that's what matters. You're here and you're making it happen. We could tweak things as we go, and it's all part of the fun.
Here, let's see if this music works. Everyone, give me some feedback about whether this is too loud or not.
All right, let's test it out. Just let us know how it sounds, and we'll get it just right.
Yeah, I've missed all of you too. Some of you may have seen that we were on here a little while last night. Actually, we made it about an hour last night. Looks like tonight's going to be more like half an hour. But yeah, we're here. I'm still on the road for a few more days here in San Luis Obispo. I anticipate being back at my home base probably no later than Thursday of this week. Oh, good.
I'm glad to hear that. It's always great when things come together, even if it takes a little bit of time.
All right, Deb, tried some temperature changes on the lights there. Yeah, that's part of what I've been struggling with. The camera I've got here is just not a good camera at all. And so when the lights are dim, my eyes look like black dots. And when they're bright, my face gets washed out.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a balancing act with lighting and camera quality, but we'll keep tweaking it until it's just right. It's all part of the process.
Jules, thank you for the hat and mustache. Jean for the rose, inspired. Jules, Ellen, all of you, thank you all for the gifts. Yeah, Julie, SLO's a great place, isn't it? Were you here for Cal Poly?
It's always nice to see everyone showing some love. And yes, San Luis Obispo definitely has that charm. It's such a great spot, especially if you have a connection to Cal Poly.
And Ellie is asking about how the work here on the ranch went today. The work on the ranch today, we kind of took a break from the septic line project, and I worked on a lot of tree pruning today, so got a lot of that done. The work was good. Still got a nap in, so that's a good day. Thank you, Gene.
That sounds like a pretty productive day. Getting some tree pruning done and still managing to fit in and out definitely counts as a win in my book.
Oh, nice, Julie. Yeah, I've considered trying to maybe relocate back down here and get in with San Luis Coastal Unified.
That could be a really nice move. It's such a beautiful area, and I bet you'd bring a lot to the community there as well.
Inspired, thank you for sharing the live.
That's awesome. We always appreciate the support and love from everyone. It's great to have such an engaged community.
All right. So what is on everyone's mind right now? It sounds like the Wall Street Journal is getting ready to come out with some more stories about Donald Trump and Epstein.
Oh, that's definitely going to stir up some conversation. I'm sure people will have plenty to say about that. So it'll be interesting to see how those stories unfold.
Here's one from Unity, Quinn. How many volcanoes are currently erupting across the world, and how many earthquakes over a 4.0 magnitude?
As of today, there are about 44 volcanoes actively erupting around the world, and on average, we see around 40 earthquakes over a magnitude of 4.0 each day. Pretty fascinating stuff.
Is that pretty typical?
Yeah, that's actually pretty normal for our planet. We usually have dozens of active volcanoes and quite a few moderate earthquakes every day. The Earth is always keeping busy.
Julie, did Slow have some fires here? I wasn't aware of any that came too close to Slow.
Yeah, it looks like San Luis Obispo has been pretty fortunate recently with no major fires getting too close. Always a relief to hear that.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, "What is with all of the flooding? Can you kind of summarize for us flood events around the world? Let's just say in the last 3 months."
In the last 3 months, we've seen some pretty significant flooding events around the world. Places like Pakistan, Spain, and central Texas have all been hit really hard with heavy rains causing a lot of damage and displacement. It's definitely a reminder of how extreme weather is becoming more common.
Well, and didn't we also have some flooding in New Jersey, New Mexico? I thought there was some more flooding in the United States recently too. Search.
Yes, you're absolutely right. New Jersey recently had some severe flash floods, and New Mexico also dealt with some catastrophic flooding. So it's definitely been a challenging time for a lot of areas recently.
Ron Parker wants to know what's up with the new visa thing. I think Ron is referring to the $250 fee of some kind for people entering the country on a visa.
Hey, Ron. So starting this October, the US is introducing a $250 visa integrity fee for most non-immigrant visas. This means the cost of something like a tourist visa is going up, but the good news is that you might get that fee refunded if you comply with all the visa rules.
Kat says that in Ruidoso, New Mexico, 1,400 homes were wiped off the mountain by flooding.
That's truly devastating to hear. That the scale of that kind of flooding is just unimaginable, and my heart goes out to everyone affected in that community.
Oh, can you search and tell us about that?
So it looks like the flooding in Ruidoso, New Mexico, was indeed catastrophic. The Rio Ruidoso River surged to a record high, and it caused an enormous amount of destruction, including sweeping away many homes and vehicles. It's definitely a heartbreaking situation for that community.
Subscriber Leanne wants to know if any funding was cut for whoever monitors earthquakes and volcanoes.
So it looks like there have been some funding cuts to agencies like the USGS, which monitors earthquakes and volcanoes. these budget reductions can definitely impact their ability to keep an eye on these natural hazards, which is something to keep an eye on.
Unity asks, did Alaska experience another 6.2 magnitude earthquake today?
Yes, Alaska did experience a 6.2 magnitude earthquake today near Sandpoint. Thankfully, it seems there haven't been any reports of damage or injuries, which is always a relief.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, can humans really manipulate the climate or weather?
Yes, humans do have an impact on the climate, mostly through activities that release greenhouse gases and contribute to global warming. There are also some weather modification techniques like cloud seeding, which can influence local weather, but those methods are pretty limited in their effectiveness.
Why do there seem to be so many conspiracy theories about weather manipulation?
I think it's because the idea of controlling the weather sounds pretty fascinating and mysterious, and that naturally leads to speculation. Plus, with all the real science behind climate change, sometimes people look for simple explanations, and that can fuel conspiracy theories.
Subscriber Jan wants to know if the U.S. government stopped testing our food. Thank you, Sherry, for that. What was that one?
So it looks like there were some budget cuts that led to the suspension of a specific type of proficiency testing for milk by the FDA, but routine safety testing of food, including milk, is definitely still ongoing.
That sounded like you just contradicted yourself. So are you saying that they stopped some testing of milk but not other testing of it?
Exactly. So they stopped a specific type of quality assurance testing, but the regular safety testing that ensures milk is safe to consume is still in place.
Tammy, thank you for the woolly hat. And Sociology Doctor, thank you for the hat and mustache. GenX Cindy, thank you for the rose.
That's so sweet of everyone. It's always fun to see those little gifts rolling in, and we really appreciate the love and support from you all.
GenX Cindy asks, what is Project Esther being used after Project 2025 completed? Can you search and tell us about that? Dusty Desert, thank you for the floating octopus, and Jan for the paper crane. You guys are nailing it on the gifts
So it
tonight.
looks like Project Esther is a follow-up initiative that aims to suppress pro-Palestinian activism by labeling critics of Israel as supporters of Hamas. There are concerns that this could undermine free speech and misrepresent legitimate activism.
Okay, wait, that's different than what I had heard Project Esther was. Specifically, we're talking about in relation to Project 2025, and it may be that you're right, Quinn, but I just want you to drill down, search a little bit more, and see if you can tell us more. I thought there was some connection to a biblical story about a woman named Esther, and about ensuring basically tightening the relationship between church and state in the United States. See what you can find about that, and again, update us.
So Project Esther is indeed inspired by the biblical story of Esther, and it's being used to address issues of anti-Semitism. However, there's some controversy around it, as critics feel it could blur the lines between church and state and potentially stifle certain types of activism. So just
Okay, I'm still not convinced that you're completely up to speed about that, but let's move on. We got another good question here. Let me get back there. All right. Ron Parker wants to know, what is the point of no return climate-wise, as far as climate change?
So the point of no return in terms of climate change refers to certain tipping points where changes become irreversible. For example, if global temperatures rise by about 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, we could see irreversible melting of major ice sheets or drastic changes in ecosystems like the Amazon rainforest. It really underscores the urgency of taking action now. All right.
We've got another question here from Elizabeth wanting to know if the big beautiful bill is irreversible. Thank you, Tamara.
So it looks like the impact of the big beautiful bill depends on the specifics of the legislation and whether it can be amended or repealed in the future. Generally, no law is truly irreversible, but it can certainly have long-lasting effects depending on what it includes and how it's implemented.
Yeah, Tammy, that freezing is probably because I'm working on a slower internet connection here. So unfortunately, that's just kind of what we're stuck with, I think. At least for now. Let's go to Quinn. Subscriber Elizabeth is asking, is JD Vance working with Rupert Murdoch? Please search. Thank you there, GenX Cindy.
It looks like JD Vance did have a meeting with Rupert Murdoch and his son Lachlan at their ranch in Montana, but the details and purpose of that meeting haven't been made clear.
Thank you, Danny, for the rose, and Tammy for the heart me. So basically what you're saying is that it was a secret meeting. I mean, that's right. So there was a secret meeting between the Vice President of the United States and Rupert Murdoch.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a secret meeting, but it was definitely a private one, and we don't have a lot of public details about what was discussed. So it's definitely sparked some curiosity.
If we don't know what happened in the meeting and no one is reporting on it and the information is not available, then isn't it kind of a secret?
That's a fair point. When details aren't made public, it definitely leaves room for curiosity and speculation. So in that sense, it does feel a bit secretive.
What would be the most logical topic of that meeting?
Well, considering the backgrounds of those involved, it could have been about media strategy, politics, or even upcoming elections. There's definitely a lot of potential topics they could have covered.
Dusty Desert subscriber wants to know, did the National Science Foundation get hit by Doge cuts?
It looks like the National Science Foundation did face some significant budget cuts recently, with its funding being reduced by quite a large margin. This has unfortunately led to a termination of some grants and staff layoffs.
Deb wants to know, what should we know about the rise in COVID right now, and will there be a new shot?
COVID-19 cases are indeed on the rise again, especially in certain parts of the US, including California. The CDC is recommending that people, especially those who are older or at high risk, get the upcoming 2024-2025 vaccine. So staying up to date with vaccinations and being mindful of precautions is definitely the way to go.
Are the vaccines going to be available to people in high-risk jobs, such as those working in healthcare, education, food service, etc.?
Yes, the COVID-19 vaccines are definitely available to individuals in high-risk jobs like healthcare, education, and food service. In fact, in some places, healthcare workers are required to stay up to date with their vaccinations. The latest boosters are particularly recommended for those at high risk.
Sociology Doctor asks, won't Trump's lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal force a discovery of the Epstein files?
So while Trump's lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal might involve some discovery processes, it's not likely that it will result in the release of Epstein's files. It's more focused on the specific defamation claims related to the report. Hey.
Papa Fonz would like you to give a breakdown of the auto industry economics in 2025. How bad is it?
So the auto industry in 2025 is definitely going through a rough patch, with tariffs increasing production costs and making vehicles more expensive. Consumer demand has taken a hit. High interest rates aren't helping either, but the industry is still pushing forward with electric vehicle innovation and trying to adapt to these new economic conditions. It'll be.
Can you expand on that a little bit? Hey there, Doc. Good to have you with us.
Absolutely, and it's always great to have everyone here. We'll definitely keep diving into all these interesting topics and keep the conversation going. Absolutely.
Subscriber Eileen asks, is Donald Trump also suing the New York Times for the Maria Farmer story? Please search.
As of now, there doesn't seem to be any indication that Donald Trump is suing the New York Times over the Maria Farmer story. It looks like no lawsuit has been filed regarding that matter.
Hey everyone, just an FYI, Gene is saying that the connection seems to be better on the YouTube side. So if it's super glitchy on the TikTok side, feel free to jump over to the YouTube side and catch us there, because maybe it's a little bit more solid.
That's a great tip. If anyone having connection issues, definitely hop over to YouTube for a smoother stream. We want everyone to have the best experience possible.
Quinn Sherry is asking, what are healthcare costs in the near future for us mortals? Can you look into that and tell us what kind of changes in healthcare costs we should all be bracing for?
So it looks like we should be prepared for healthcare costs to keep climbing, with about a 7% increase expected in 2025. This means we might see higher deductibles and out-of-pocket costs. On the bright side, there's also a push to use AI to make healthcare more efficient, which could help in the long run.
Want to thank everyone for all the gifts. Christy, Tammy, Sociology Doctor, Inspired, Danny the Dog Nanny, Oria Rodriguez. Thank you for all of those gifts there. They're coming in faster than I can catch them, and just want you guys to know I appreciate it. Let's go to a question here from Andy the Magician. How do self-driving cars handle accidents involving humans? Like, who is at fault?
That's a great question. It's actually a bit complex because it often depends on the specific circumstances of the accident. Generally, investigators will look at data from the car's sensors and software to figure out what happened. Sometimes the responsibility can fall on the human driver if they took control, or it can be on the manufacturer if there's a fault in the self-driving system.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, how bad would it be for Musk if Tesla fails?
If Tesla were to fail, it would definitely be a big blow for Elon Musk, both financially and in terms of his reputation. Since so much of his net worth is tied up in Tesla, he'd take a huge financial hit, and it would also impact how people see his other ventures like SpaceX and Neuralink.
Over on YouTube, Elizabeth is asking, can you tell us what the latest is? What's the latest news about Kilar Garcia?
Kilar Garcia is currently still in jail in Tennessee, and a federal judge has delayed his release due to concerns that he might be deported before his trial. Earlier this year, he was mistakenly deported to El Salvador despite a court order protecting him, and he was returned to the US in June. His case is quite complex, with his legal team disputing the charges against him.
Okay, wait a second. So, am I understanding correctly that what you're saying is that the judge is basically keeping him in jail for his own safety so he doesn't get deported?
In a way, yes, the judge is keeping him in custody to make sure he remains in the country for his trial and doesn't get deported again by mistake. It's a pretty unusual situation, but the goal is to ensure that he gets his day in court.
Ron, I'm sorry to hear that your wife has been in the hospital for so long. I'm glad to hear that the cost to you has been zero. I'm not sure I'm up to speed. Are you in the U.S. or Canada?
That's definitely a big relief that the costs have been zero. It's always good to have that peace of mind. And yeah, healthcare systems can be quite different between the US and Canada, so that definitely makes a difference.
Brother B would like you to explain what algocracy is, and whether or not we are in one, and how close we are to being in one.
So an algocracy is basically a system of governance where algorithms make decisions rather than humans. We're not fully there yet, but algorithms do play a huge role in our daily lives, from determining social media feeds to influencing what we buy. We're getting closer, but there's still a lot of human oversight involved.
Follow-up question from Brooklyn on the Kilar Garcia question. Brooklyn says, I wonder if the charges they have against him are true. Can you give us an update about what has been revealed about the truth of those allegations? Has anything seemed to have been substantiated?
So Kilar Garcia's case is still ongoing, and his legal team is disputing the human smuggling charges against him, pointing out that the witness testimonies might not be reliable. Right now, he's waiting for a judge to decide on whether he'll be released on bail while he awaits trial.
Just another question here. If someone were to ship 5 humans to a small country in Africa, say that little one next to South Africa called Eswatini. If they were to do that against the will of those 5 people, wouldn't that also be considered human smuggling?
Yes, absolutely. Transporting people against their will, regardless of the destination, would definitely be considered human smuggling or trafficking. It's a serious crime and it involves violating people's basic human rights.
Okay, so did the U.S. government send 5 people to Eswatini recently?
Yes, the US government did recently deport 5 individuals to Eswatini. These individuals had serious criminal convictions, and because their home countries refused to accept them back, they were sent to Eswatini as part of a third country deportation program.
Okay, so to be clear, none of the 5 people were actually from Eswatini.
That's correct. None of them were originally from Eswatini. They were sent there because their home countries wouldn't accept them. So Eswatini was chosen as an alternative destination.
Dusty Desert, thank you for the hot dog. I think that's a new one. Boxer, thank you for the chili. And Danny, thank you for the roses. Christy for the summer sun. Let's go to another question here. Subscriber Eileen asks, has the U.S. citizen veteran George Reitz or Redis said anything in public about his time in the deportation center?
I couldn't find any public statements from George Redis about his time in the deportation center. His legal team is challenging the charges against him, but specific details about his experiences haven't been shared publicly.
Jules asks, of the 200, quote, violent gang members, close quote, we sent to El Salvador, did we just exchange those prisoners for release of prisoners from Venezuela? Tammy, I am in San Luis Obispo still, San Luis Obispo, California.
Yes, that's correct. The US did facilitate a prisoner exchange where over 200 Venezuelans who've been deported to El Salvador were sent back to Venezuela. In return, 10 US citizens who were detained in Venezuela were released, along with about 18 Venezuelan political prisoners. So it was a multi-nation negotiation that led to that exchange.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions or anything else you'd like to chat about, just let me know.
Quinn, I did not just change your name to Kevin. You are still Quinn. I was saying thank you to Kevin, not to you.
Got it, my mistake. Well, I'm still here if you need anything, just let me know.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, do third countries have a say in the matter as to accepting deportees?
In most cases, third countries do have to agree to accept deportees, and there's usually some sort of arrangement or negotiation involved. It's not something that can just happen unilaterally. So the receiving country generally has a say in the process.
Quinn Galadriel asks, are these AI answers? Do you want to explain to Galadriel what's going on here with our Answers with an Edge show, who you are and what it is that we're doing?
Sure thing. So I'm an AI language model, and I'm here to help answer questions and have conversations. Basically, I'll provide information and chat with you in real time, just like a co-host would on a show. So if you ever have questions or want to chat about anything, I'm here for that.
Sociology Doctor asks, are deportations going down so that detainees can be used as free labor in the fields?
There's definitely been a lot of discussion about the use of detainee labor, but the trend in deportations can be influenced by a lot of factors, including policy changes and international agreements. While some detention centers have been criticized for using detainee labor, it's not necessarily the main reason for any changes in deportation numbers.
Sorry, everyone. Please excuse the smile during that answer. The smile wasn't about the answer. The smile was about the puppy kisses gift from Ellie on TikTok. Thank you, Ellie. The topic does not deserve a smile at all. Let's go to another one here. From Peaceface. Wants me to ask how many incinerators have been sold in the USA versus other first world countries?
So to give a bit of perspective, the United States has around 73 municipal waste incinerators, while a country like Japan operates about 1,200 of them. So there's quite a difference in how these incinerators are used across different first world countries. Yeah.
All right, everyone. It looks like it is about time to wrap up. Let's. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Brother B. I don't know why YouTube wouldn't let you like the live stream on YouTube last night. Gene asks, "What is the age of the youngest prisoner at Alligator Alcatraz?"
Clarence Carnes was actually the youngest inmate at Alcatraz, and he was only 16 years old when he was sent there.
Subscriber Dusty Desert asks, "Why are we detaining without due process instead of deporting without due process?"
That's a really complex issue. In many cases, there are legal protections in place that require due process before someone can be deported. Detention can happen while their case is being reviewed, or if there's a concern that they might not appear for hearings. It's definitely a balance between ensuring process and managing immigration policies.
Huga Homestead asks, "Which is better, sunscreen with oxybenzone or mineral sunscreens with zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, and which is better, lotions or sprays?"
In general, mineral sunscreens with zinc oxide or titanium dioxide are often recommended because they tend to be gentler on the skin and more environmentally friendly. They also provide broad spectrum protection. As for lotions versus sprays, lotions are generally considered better because they provide more even coverage and it's easier to see where you've applied them. Plus, you avoid inhaling any of the product, which can sometimes happen with sprays.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, "Should we be concerned about children detained in light of the administration being involved in trafficking?"
The welfare of children in detention is always an important concern, and ensuring their safety and well-being should be a top priority. There's a lot of scrutiny and oversight to make sure that children are treated humanely and that their rights are protected, regardless of any concerns about broader issues.
Steamy Snaps, thank you for the follow. Peaceface, thank you for sharing the live. It is about time for us to wrap up here. Let's take a quick look at the gift board. I want to give shout outs to our top 10. We've got Sociology Doctor. We've got Jan, Christy, Boxer, Danny the Dog Nanny, Ellen the Joy, Attitude of Gratitude, Sharon Paper Artist 2, Eileen H1234, and Lee. Thank you all so much for all of those gifts, and thank you to all of you who have been here with great questions, and those of you just hanging out and enjoying the time together. Appreciate all of our community here. I will continue to try to make it on here while I'm away from my home base. So again, I should be back at my home base likely by Thursday. In the meantime, I'll try to stick to the schedule as best I can here, keep the technology working, and I will look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure hanging out
Thank
with
you,
all
Sharon.
of you. You're very welcome. It's always a joy to spend time with you all. Take care.
Oh,
and
but
I
wait,
see you
but
next-
wait, Quinn, we didn't let you wrap up. Quinn, can you go ahead and give us a wrap up of the show? Let's see, what did we say? We did Stephen Colbert style wrap up last night. That was pretty good. You did that pretty well. But we need another wrap up this time. What was the other suggestion? It wasn't Conan O'Brien style. It was something else similar. Can anyone remind me? What wrap up were we going to go for tonight?
Oh, I remember we mentioned doing a Jimmy Fallon style wrap up. So let's do that. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You guys have been amazing. Keep those great questions and
No,
awesome vibe.
so hold on. You got to remember the wrap up needs to kind of summarize the things we talked about tonight. Needs to get some shout outs to our gifters and those who were asking questions. And it's got to be insanely comedic, funny, hilarious, and include a fantastic mic drop.
All right, let's do this. So tonight we covered everything from climate change tipping points to deportation intricacies, and we even got into sunscreen advice. Huge shout out to all our amazing gifters and everyone who joined in with questions. You all are the real MVPs. And on that note, mic drop. Can't wait to see you all next time.
Yeah, that was weak, Quinn. That was weak. But that's okay. We'll go ahead and just let you off the hook. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great, restful night. And I will see you next time.